Recently, the wave of bankruptcies and collapses of companies and businesses in China has been increasing every day. The number of reported bankruptcies is rising rapidly, leading to unemployment and job loss for many workers and laborers on the mainland. In a recent development, Shaanxi's 100 billion yuan steel company, Dongling Group, announced bankruptcy, shocking the industry. It is reported that Dongling Group's bankruptcy will affect 18,000 employees. The case, 2024, Shaanxi 03 Bankruptcy Application Note 22, published on July 25, 2024 by the China Enterprise Bankruptcy and Reorganization Case Information Network, shows that Dongling Group was applied for bankruptcy reorganization by Shaanxi Nippon Paint Software Company Ltd., and the case is being handled by the Baoji Intermediate People's Court of Shaanxi Province. On July 30, the Dongling Group's Creditors' Rights Declaration announcement, published by the China Enterprise Bankruptcy and Reorganization Case Information Network, showed that Beijing Guantao Xi'an law firm was designated as the bankruptcy administrator of Dongling Group. Dongling Group's creditors should declare their claims to the bankruptcy administrator of Dongling Group Company, Ltd. before September 27, 2024. According to the China Times on August 3, the bankruptcy of Dongling Group surprised many people. Many people's impression of Dongling Group still remains on the labels of 100 billion yuan private enterprise and Fortune 500. On September 20, 2023, Dongling Group's WeChat official account announced that it had been on the list of China's top 500 enterprises for the 19th consecutive time. Dongling Group ranked 205th on the list of China's top 500 enterprises, with 125.7 billion yuan. In the list of China's top 500 service enterprises released simultaneously, Dongling Group ranks 69th. Some industry experts analyzed to the China Times that Dongling Group's bankruptcy was mainly due to overexpansion, market changes, and poor management. The bankruptcy, judicial cases, total execution amount, and legal person restrictions involved in Dongling Group indicate that the company has debt repayment problems and is unable to repay debts or is insolvent. There is also a view that Dongling Group's bankruptcy is due to the company being too deeply tied to real estate. Dongling Group's steel production capacity once exceeded 10 million tons of various steel sales, ranking first in China's construction steel sales list, while real estate investment has been declining for several years. In addition, public data shows that in 2018, the group invested 1.3 billion yuan to revitalize the local Yinhui Center project that had been unfinished for 8 years. In 2020, the court froze its account due to a contract dispute with an elevator supplier, and then it had an economic dispute with a construction company. Regarding the impact of Dongling Group's bankruptcy, Bai Wangxi, vice chairman of the China Enterprise Capital Alliance, told the media that Dongling Group's bankruptcy may damage Dongling Group's brand image and market reputation. Economist and new financial expert Yufeng Hui said that as a large private enterprise, Dongling Group's bankruptcy will have an impact on the local and even national economy, especially affecting the upstream and downstream industrial chains. Secondly, 18,000 employees face the risk of unemployment. Thirdly, the financial market may also fluctuate, and related financial institutions and investors will be affected. Dongling Group was founded in 1980. It was originally a village-run collective enterprise. Its operating income exceeded 100 million yuan in 1994. Dongling Group was established in 1996. After years of development, it has many subsidiaries. Its main businesses involve steel and non-ferrous smelting, mineral energy, supply chain services, etc. It is a large-scale zinc smelting private enterprise in western China. Tianyanshur monitoring data shows that as of August 2, Dongling Group is facing serious judicial litigation problems involving 145 judicial cases, covering sales contract disputes and loan contract disputes, and the amount of execution has reached 1.27 billion yuan. Chinese consumption downgrades. Uniqlo, Nike, and other international brands face many difficulties and risks ahead. The economic downturn is severe. Chinese consumption has dropped sharply. People have no more money to spend and have to tighten their belts. Consumers have started to pay less attention to brands, leading to obstacles for international brands such as Uniqlo and Nike in the Chinese market, and they have to compete with other cheap white label brands. China's economy continues to be sluggish, and data released last week showed that a key indicator of China's service industry activity, covering the retail industry, was on the verge of contraction for the first time since last year. The July Purchasing Managers Index is part of China's disappointing economic overview. The consumer downturn has plunged global brands into a demand slump. Mid-range clothing brands, once favored by Chinese people for their affordable prices, are facing weak demand in China as consumers tighten their wallets and consumption downgrades continue, forcing them to compete with white label brands that sell similar products at lower prices. White label is a type of outsourcing where one company produces a product and another company puts its own brand on it and sells it. Uniqlo, the mainland Chinese market, is facing many difficulties. Fast Retailing, the parent company of Japanese brand Uniqlo, said this month that revenue in the mainland China market in the 9 months ending May 31 was struggling compared with the same period last year due to weaker demand and a mismatch between product supply and local preferences. Bloomberg reported that Crossing Jiapeng, senior China strategist at Anzi Bank, said, "Consumers are more focused on price than quality amid a bleak income outlook." He pointed out that this trend has led to fierce price wars, and the authorities have not given a clear way to increase household income. China's sluggish economic activity, rising unemployment, and especially the years-long downturn in the real estate market are squeezing Chinese household budgets and weakening confidence, prompting many Chinese to tighten their belts. Morgan Chase estimates that about 60% of the wealth of China's urban middle class is related to real estate. Consumption downgrades have also hurt domestic brands. Li-Ning, China's largest sportswear brand, saw sales down 4% in the first quarter. Xtep, a mass sports brand, saw sales down 50% last quarter, about half the growth rate in the same period last year. Ning Pan, CEO of Fast Retailing Group Greater China, said that the growing popularity of affordable alternatives, or less well-known or unbranded clothing, has had a significant impact on Uniqlo and the company's performance. High-end brands are facing the same dilemma. Sportswear giant Nike cut its full-year growth forecast to mid-single digits last month, stating that revenue in the first quarter could fall 10% due to weaker demand in Greater China, including mainland China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. In the second quarter, French beauty products giant L'Oréal's sales in North Asia, including China, fell 2.4%, marking the fourth consecutive quarter of sales decline in the region. The brand's CEO, Nicholas Hieronymus, called the beauty market in mainland China sluggish. Jesse Xu, head of China Discretionary Consumer Goods Research at Deutsche Bank, said Chinese consumers are turning to value for money alternatives, the South China Morning Post reported. She said shoppers are less willing to pay a high premium for brands. For products of the same quality, consumers prefer low prices, and for products of the same price, they want products to be improved and upgraded in terms of technology or design, Xu said. Out of money, Chinese people shift their focus to products rather than brands. The South China Morning Post reported that Liu Sheng, a retiree in Beijing, buys most of her clothes from a brandless store on Douyin. She said the store's clothes are competitively priced because it has its own factory to produce clothes that imitate the cuts of big brands. The cuts are definitely not as chic, but the fabrics feel good, which is the most important thing for us, she said. A recent report by consumer research agency Mintel showed that Chinese people currently value functionality rather than fashion appeal. According to the agency's research, about 59% of respondents focus more on products than brands when buying clothing and accessories. Ms. Xu said that given that drivers such as employment, income, and economic prospects have not improved, the shift in thinking towards more affordable alternatives is likely to continue in the next 2 years. The key issue is job security, she added. People tend to tighten their belts and cut unnecessary spending as much as possible during an economic downturn, Ultimately, depressed sentiment has hampered consumption and investment by households and businesses. Correcting this problem is the most difficult challenge, said Xu Chang, chief Asia economist at Bloomberg, and Ku Tianqi, an economist at Bloomberg. No units sold in half a year. A property in Wuhan cuts prices by nearly 10,000 yuan per square meter. The property in Wuhan has faced complaints from old owners due to a price reduction of nearly half. The person in charge of sales said that no house has been sold in the past 6 months, and the property is scheduled for delivery at the end of this year. A lack of funds for construction may affect the delivery time. According to China Business News on August 3, since May this year, there have been complaints from owners. The unit price of Wanhe Guanggu has dropped from the registered price of more than 20,000 yuan RMB, the same below, to the current price of 12,500 yuan. Has it been re-registered? Many Wanhe Guanggu owners have also raised concerns on the Wuhan City message board about the large price reduction and consulted the relevant authorities, asking, is the price reduction, which is beyond the registered price range, reasonable? Some owners said that the registered price of the Wanhe Guanggu project when it was launched in the first half of 2022 was about 23,000 yuan per square meter, and it was sold at a discount price of about 19,000 yuan per square meter, while the recent lowest selling price was only about 14,000 yuan per square meter. Wang, the sales manager, added that due to the downward trend in the real estate market, from November last year to the end of May this year, no house was sold, and only one house was sold in July. According to the contract, the project will be delivered at the end of this year, and the subsequent capital investment problem needs to be resolved. If the funds are not used to pay for the project and the construction team does not start construction, there will be problems with delivery. This situation is occurring across China and is worsening. The middle-class exodus in China amid economic downturn and political pressure.
Multiple studies indicate that China's wealthy and middle-class populations are accelerating their outflow from the country. In the latest 2024 Global Wealth Migration Report, released this week by the British consultancy firm Henley Partners, China again tops the list for the most millionaires emigrating. The report predicts that 15,200 millionaires will leave mainland China in 2024, up from 13,500 last year and 10,800 the year before. The United States remains one of the top destinations for these Chinese millionaires. According to the China High Net Worth Individuals Brand Preference Report, released by Hurun Research Institute in March this year, nearly 40% of surveyed high net worth families are considering moving abroad. Additionally, the 2022 World Migration Report published by the United Nations Migration Agency notes that China ranks 4th globally for the number of emigrants. Besides wealthy individuals with abundant resources, many of China's middle class also find ways to vote with their feet and start new lives overseas. The wave of massive layoffs and unemployment among those aged 35 is upon us. Will the middle class truly fall into poverty overnight? Most people believe that the middle class leads a stable life, owning houses and cars and having jobs. How could there be a decline? Staying up late to tell you what you might not know is that most of the middle class rely not on their abilities but on their urban household registration and employee status. They boarded the fast-moving train of the times without possessing the cognition and resources of entrepreneurs or the ambition and grit of the poor. They merely had a decent starting point in life. Initially, this situation did not pose a significant problem. However, during economic recessions and inflation, rising unemployment rates can reduce middle-class incomes or eliminate job opportunities, leading to a decline in living standards or even a fall back into poverty. Why is this happening? Simply put, the middle class does not control production means and lacks sustainable development methods, offering little to their children. Furthermore, all bad habits seem to converge among the middle class, including blindly comparing themselves to others, using world-renowned brands, traveling extensively to experience life, sending their children to the best schools, and dressing them in the finest clothes. This is the most terrifying aspect of the middle-class crisis: their complacency. Do you think such wealth can be maintained? As a class that is neither affluent enough nor struggling, the middle class is in a precarious position, finding it extremely difficult to move upward but easy to slide downward. In the current global economic downturn, the middle class is not only challenged to achieve new heights of success, but also faces difficulties in retaining their existing wealth. China's middle class, facing economic challenges, also seeks opportunities abroad. Economic recessions and inflation erode their stability, leading to declining incomes and increased unemployment. This class, which once benefited from China's rapid economic growth, is now struggling to maintain its standard of living. The housing market crash, economic recession as the main factor. The housing market collapse exemplifies the broader economic downturn and its impact on the middle class. For instance, according to a report by Voice of America on June 19, at the beginning of 2023, Frank Zhou planned to sell an apartment in Beijing to meet the minimum investment requirement of $800,000 for U.S. investment immigration and considerable legal and administrative fees. However, since listing the property with an agent in the second half of 2023, he has lowered the price by 20%, yet the property still hasn't sold. It feels like the economic downturn is happening faster than I expected, he told reporters. If I don't leave soon, I might not be able to afford the immigration fees. On June 17, China's National Bureau of Statistics released data on changes in commodity housing sales prices for May 2024 in 70 large and medium-sized cities. In the new housing market, the price index for new homes in these 70 cities fell by 0.7% month-on-month in May, marking the 12th consecutive month of decline. The price index for second-hand homes in these cities fell by 1% month-on-month, marking the 13th consecutive month of decline. The collapse of China's housing market has significantly reduced the assets of middle-class individuals like Mr. Zhou, who once had some wealth. Goldman Sachs even predicts that Chinese house prices still have room to fall by another 40%. Mr. Zhou is a businessman who ventured into the private sector in the 1990s. Engaged in the electronic hardware industry, he benefited from China's accession to the World Trade Organization (WTO) and the booming internet era, earning his first fortune. He later made various investments, including trading stocks and investing in recently popular internet celebrity restaurant chains. However, due to the sluggish Chinese stock market and the downgrade in consumer spending, these investments ended in losses. The current economy is in a comprehensive downturn. The government only lets you see what they want you to see, promoting one thing as hot and another as trendy. It's like the Zibo barbecue that was hyped up, everyone rushed to open stores, but soon no one was eating there. And investors lost money. I'm in business, and to be realistic, it's too difficult to make money in China right now, he candidly told reporters. According to the 2023 New Middle Class White Paper released by the Wu Shambo channel, 11.4% of surveyed middle-class families reported that their wealth shrank by more than 30% last year, while 28.9% reported a wealth shrinkage of 10% to 30%. The depreciation of assets has made Mr. Zhou and his friends anxious. They caught the wave of China's rapid economic development and accumulated some wealth, but now fear that the economic recession will quickly return them to their original state. It seems that overnight the direction of the Shenzhen housing market has completely changed. It feels like all the people in Shenzhen are selling their houses. Many homeowners are willing to lose their down payment just to sell their homes. Especially in large communities like Taoyuanju in Bao and Yifang City in Longhua, sometimes more than 30 units are listed in a single day. Currently, there are more than 100,000 second-hand houses listed for sale in Shenzhen, not including foreclosure homes. Nearly 1 in 10 homeowners in Shenzhen is selling their house. So I want to ask, in the current environment in Shenzhen, where are all the buyers coming from? In the past, having multiple houses meant you were wealthy. Now, whoever has more houses is the biggest fool, especially those who bought in Moonbay Garden, where prices once reached nearly 13.7 thousand USD per square meter at the peak. Now they have dropped to 5.5 thousand USD. It's common for a house to lose 4 to 5 million yuan in value. The key issue is that even at 5.5 thousand USD per square meter, these houses are not selling. Take, for example, the Bagling dormitory in Fushan district. The name itself tells you it's a hot property. Most units are 20 to 30 square meter singles, very close to the subway, with educational resources and redevelopment potential. At one time, it was very popular, with transaction prices reaching 20.6 thousand USD per square meter. Now the prices have plummeted. Second-hand prices at 5.5 thousand USD per square meter are not attracting any buyers. There are many similar communities. These homeowners are stuck with high prices, unable to sell. Many people choose to stop their mortgage payments and abandon their houses. Monthly, several foreclosure homes are listed in these communities. After becoming foreclosure properties, prices are slashed to 70% or even 56% of the current price. It's practically a half-price sale. So, are these people the biggest fools? Ordinary people might only buy one or two houses in their lifetime. If they buy the wrong house or pay too much, at best, their family wealth shrinks. At worst, it could ruin them financially. So, I sincerely advise everyone, if you don't need a house, don't buy one just for the sake of appearances. If you need a house for marriage or your child's education, be cautious and buy within your means. Avoid buying at peak prices. The economic downturn of China reminds us of the Made in China 2025 plan. So, what is Made in China 2025? Amid these economic woes, the ambitious Made in China 2025 plan, aimed at transforming China into a global manufacturing superpower, has also faced significant setbacks. Made in China 2025 is China's 10-year development plan aimed not only at making domestic manufacturers dominant within the country, but also at ambitiously positioning China to dominate globally, becoming a manufacturing superpower in the world. In 2015, the Chinese government launched the Made in China 2025 plan, a 10-year strategy aimed at upgrading China's manufacturing capabilities by rapidly developing 10 high-tech sectors. Leading these sectors are electric vehicles, other new energy vehicles, next-generation information and telecommunications technology, robotics, and advanced artificial intelligence. The remaining sectors include agricultural technology, aerospace engineering, new composite materials, advanced electrical equipment, biomedical technology, high-speed rail infrastructure, and high-tech maritime engineering. These sectors are the focus of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which involves integrating big data, cloud computing, and other emerging technologies into the global manufacturing supply chain. Chinese policymakers have based their strategy on Germany's Industry 4.0 framework. China seeks to reform its economy, shifting from primarily assembling goods for foreign companies to inventing products with technological components. Therefore, the plan proposes prioritizing manufacturing upgrades through technological innovation, smart manufacturing, and services linked to manufacturing. Specifically, China aims to enhance production quality, innovation, and labor productivity by 2025, achieve advanced technology integration, reduce energy and resource consumption, and develop globally competitive enterprises and technology centers. By 2035, the goal is to reach a mid-level global industrial position, make significant breakthroughs in innovation, lead in certain industries, and set global standards. By 2049, China aims to lead in manufacturing and innovation with a competitive position in advanced technology and industrial systems. Strategic analysts have always seen the Made in China 2025 plan as one of the main reasons for the U.S. strategic suppression of China. For the United States and some major industrialized countries, China's plan undermines China's adherence to international trade principles and poses security risks. The U.S. argues that policies based on discrimination against foreign investment, forced technology transfers, intellectual property theft, and cyber espionage are factors that triggered the tariff war imposed by President Donald Trump on Chinese goods and blocked some Chinese-backed acquisitions of technology companies. Meanwhile, many other countries have tightened foreign investment scrutiny and increased responses to counter China's actions. Policymakers and security officials in the U.S. and other developed countries view China's plan to dominate advanced global technology as a national security issue. In the economic sector, many studies suggest that China is distorting the global market by prioritizing political incentives over economic ones. Subsidies under this plan have skewed markets and led to overproduction and dumping of cheap products on the world market, such as the case with solar panels that many countries have accused. Additionally, companies based in the US, Europe, and other continents argue that there is an asymmetry where China freely invests abroad, but investment requirements and limitations restrict foreign companies from selling and operating in China. In conclusion, the middle-class exodus from China, driven by economic downturns and political pressures, highlights the vulnerabilities within China's socioeconomic framework. The failure of initiatives like Made in China 2025 underscores the difficulties China faces in achieving its ambitious economic goals amidst global resistance and internal challenges.